Japan have emerged as one of the dark horses of this World Cup. Today, we're breaking down the tactical reasons behind Japan's rise. Flexible structure. One of the defining characteristics of Japan's system is its flexibility. During the build-up, Japan often form a 4-2-4 structure by pushing one wing-back forward and involving the goalkeeper. As they progress up the pitch, the opposite wing-back joins the attack, creating the familiar 3-2-5 shape seen across modern football. But the rotations do not stop there. One of the number 6 can drop into the back line to create a temporary back 4 and provide greater stability in possession. The two number 6 constantly adjust their positions both horizontally and vertically to create new passing angles, and at times even push forward to create a 6-man attacking line. Against the Netherlands, Japan switched to a back 4 late in the game to commit more players forward in search of an equaliser. That ability to constantly reshape their structure is a key part of what makes Japan so difficult to contain. Creating overloads. Within this flexible attacking structure, Japan are able to create numerical superiority in different areas of the pitch. And this allows them to make full use of the technical quality that has long defined Japanese football. The first area is midfield. By drawing the opponent's press towards the back line, Japan can create a midfield overload and play through the centre. Once they break the first line of pressure, the ball can be moved out to the wing-backs, who are often converted wingers and excel in 1v1 situations out wide. When the opponent blocks the centre, Japan have another solution. One of the number 6 can drop into the back line to form a back 4, allowing the centre-backs to spread wider and stretch the opponent's defensive shape. This opens up space in midfield, where Japan can create a 3v2 overload and progress through the centre again. Here, Japan invite the press, use the 3v2 overload in midfield to play through the centre, and then switch the ball out wide to continue the attack. But when the centre is closed, they are also comfortable progressing down the flanks. When the ball is moved wide, the number 8 can attack the half space directly. This movement draws the defender inside and creates space for the wing-back. From there, the wing-back can either find a diagonal pass into the centre or drive inside onto his stronger foot. The number 8's run drags a defender out of position and creates space inside. The wing-back then cuts the ball back onto his stronger foot and attacks the centre. Japan also create overloads on the side through rotations. When one number 6 drops into the back line, one of the centre-backs can step forward into the wide area. The number 6 can then join the attack again, giving Japan an extra player around the ball. This allows them to create a free man, combine through the flank and find a route back into midfield. Here, one of the number 6 drops into the back line to form a back 4, allowing the stopper to step forward and create an overload out wide. Japan then use that numerical advantage to progress the attack. But Japan are not only a short passing team. One of the biggest changes in their game is the way they now use direct play. During the build-up, they can use Suzuki's long passing range to attack the space behind the opposition defence. Their fast wingers and wingbacks can run beyond the back line, while Ayase Ueda competes aggressively for duels up front. When the opponent blocks midfield, the number 8 can drop deeper or move wide to pull a midfielder out of position. That creates space for the wingback to attack in behind. So, within this flexible structure, Japan are able to combine short passing, wide rotations, midfield overloads, and direct balls behind the defence. Fluidity. Another defining characteristic of Japan's system is its fluidity. Rather than occupying fixed positions within the attacking structure, players constantly rotate and exchange roles to disrupt the opponent's defensive organisation. These movements happen both vertically and horizontally. The number 8s are particularly important. By making runs beyond the ball, they can drag defenders out of position and create space between the lines. That space can then be exploited through diagonal passes from wide areas and quick combination play around the box. The rotations are not limited to the midfielders. The wide centre-backs also underlap into the half spaces, creating additional passing options and making Japan's attacks even more difficult to track. The number 9 can also drop into midfield to draw a centre-back forward. That movement opens space behind the defensive line for the number 8 to attack. Here, Ueda drops deep and draws the defender out of position. The number 8 immediately attacks the space behind and Japan create a clear-cut chance. The same principle applies deeper in midfield. A number 6 can move forward after releasing the ball, while a number 8 drops into the vacant space to receive possession. These constant rotations make it difficult for opponents to maintain their defensive structure. Japan also create problems through horizontal movement. The number 8s frequently drift across the pitch rather than remaining in their designated zones. When opponents fail to follow, Japan can create overloads and find the free man. Japan can also draw the opponent to one side, switch play to the open flank, and isolate their wingbacks in 1-for-1 situations. Here, Kubo moves across from the right half space to the left. His marker is unable to track the movement, allowing him to receive as a free player before Japan go on to score. A similar pattern appears here. Kamada drifts across the pitch from his number 8 position, dragging defenders with him and creating space for Ueda. As the number 6 bursts forward, the opposite centre-back can no longer stay tight to Ueda. That creates a 4v3 advantage in the attacking line, allowing Japan to play through Ueda and switch the ball out to Nakamura on the far side. As Nakamura drives forward in a 1v1 situation, players flood the box, and Japan turn the move into a goal. This kind of fluidity has become a defining feature of many elite European sides, including PSG and Bayern Munich. It requires not only a clear tactical framework, but also intelligent players capable of reading and manipulating space. And Japan execute it exceptionally well. Intensity. Another major change in Japanese football is intensity. This is where the current Japan side looks very different from the teams of the past. They are no longer just a technical possession team. They now press aggressively, compete for second balls, and transition at high speed. In many ways, they have turned one of their old weaknesses into a strength. When opponents press high, Japan are now much more comfortable going direct. Ueda can compete for long balls up front, while the midfielders react quickly around him to attack the second ball. And without the ball, Japan can press high in a man-oriented structure. The front line locks onto the opponent's build-up, and Japan try to force long balls. When that happens, their centre-backs can attack the first contact, while the midfield pushes up to compete for the second ball. This was on full display against Brazil last year. After falling 2-0 behind, Japan turned the game around by playing with far greater aggression. They attacked more directly, pressed man-to-man, and eventually completed a remarkable 3-2 comeback. But Japan are not only aggressive. Against stronger opponents, they can also drop slightly deeper into a compact 5-2-3 block. From there, they protect the centre and wait for the right moment to press. When the ball enters midfield, Japan collapse around the receiver, win the ball, and attack quickly through the wide players. This is how they hurt England. They forced play into midfield, pressed aggressively around the ball, and then broke forward at speed through the flanks. If opponents cannot find access through the centre, Japan are also comfortable forcing the ball wide. Once the ball goes to the flank, the wing-back and nearby midfielders press together, trap the opponent, and push them backwards. Against elite teams, Japan can even defend in a deeper 5-4-1 block. But because their counter-attacks are so fast, opponents cannot commit numbers forward freely. The Netherlands understood this in their opening match, keeping Dumfries deeper than usual to protect against Japan's transitions. That is what makes Japan so difficult to play against. They can press high, they can defend deep, and once they win the ball, they can attack the space behind with real speed. Their defensive transitions are just as impressive. When Japan lose the ball in the opponent's half, the closest players immediately counter-press to stop the break and keep the attack alive. But if the opponent escapes that pressure, Japan recover back into their defensive shape with remarkable speed. They often get behind the ball before the counter-attack can fully develop. This combination of pressing, duels, counter-pressing, and transition speed has added a completely new dimension to Japanese football. Today, we looked at the tactical ideas behind Japan's rise as one of the dark horses of this World Cup. Their system has been built and refined over many years, and now Japan look like one of the most organised and tactically complete teams in the tournament. So just how far can they go?